So I'm about 8 miles in to a 13-mile route along the cinder track here to meet up with Lee. I came in on the York to Scarborough line and I'm riding north. He's coming in on the Middlesbrough to Whitby line and he's riding south. Then we're going to meet up around Boggle Hall and head east up onto the moors, and then the plan is to cycle all the way over to North Allerton and we can jump on the trains. He can head north and I can head south. So we'll see how it goes. Well, as the title of this video suggests, the grand crossing of the moors quickly dissolved into a grand failure. But anyway, we'll get to that later. For the moment, I'm continuing north towards Boggle Hall, and yes, that is a real place. But first I stopped by one of the finest views in all of Yorkshire. This is the site above the Peak Alum Works at Ravenscar, and the view over to Robin Hood's Bay is a real feast for the eyes, but I can't admire it for too long as I still have a few miles to pedal. So I've arrived at the point where I've arranged to meet Lee. He's just rang me actually. He's at Robin Hood's Bay, so probably less than a mile away. But it started raining, which is bad news. That wasn't in the forecast. But I'm just going to take this opportunity to have some breakfast. I haven't eaten anything yet. Sarnie doesn't look too good, like. Made these last night. Cheese, Branston pickle and tomato. So we had to do a short section on the A171. There's a bridleway coming off it, and this is the bridleway right off the side of the main carriageway. So we missed it. So we've been up and down a really dangerous stretch of road. And this bridleway, one of the problems with OS maps, it marks bridleways, but no one's been up here for decades, have they? No. So yeah, it's turning into a bit of a
footpath of doom again.
Footpath of doom again. If you watched our last video up in the Scottish borders. But we're going to head up onto Fylingdale's moor now, so we'll see what that's like. Once we got onto the moor, the going didn't get any easier. I started having some issues with my upper hamstring. It felt like the onset of cramp. So we had a choice. We could either change the route and look for some tarmac, or we could man up, get our act together and push on like the capable adventurers that we are. So we made a decision and started to head towards the only tarmac road we could find in the vicinity. This would involve a descent into a valley, which at first looked okay, and then descended into a ludicrous folly of foliage. The ferns themselves weren't the issue so much, it was the hidden brambles that were sharp enough to take your leg off. That was brutal. Some of the ferns were head high. No other choice really apart from just to let the brakes off and power on through them.
What the fuck have I just come through? I was up here neck deep at one point. I was going, Ben! What a nightmare, man.
Aye.
That's tick heaven in there. Like.
Nah, there'll be no ticks in there, mate. The deer will not come out of these gates. Yeah, you don't really have to worry too much about ticks through there. It's the grass that'll get you.
Mate, I was 6 foot deep.
Yeah, it was head high at some point.
I couldn't even, like, I was just like that.
Hold on, mate. I took my panniers off for this, like.
Did you?
Alright, we'll just get this bike over. So there's been a bit of a change of plan. We've only travelled about 3 miles across some of the harshest terrain the North York Moors has to offer. We've decided to take should we call it an early bailout? I think an early bailout is probably the best way to describe it. We ended up, after we came through that fern hell, down in this valley, and we've just had a massive cycle up. And we're actually coming back round towards Whitby. the plan was to get into that woodland and get over the moor, but there's no real track to get over that way. Everything marked as a bridle way doesn't even look like this. This is actually a footpath. It's just tiny little narrow tracks across the moors, and it's so difficult to cycle along them. You just end up pushing for miles, and it's not really much fun. So anyway, we've booked into a campsite up at well, just south of Whitby, so I don't think we're more than an hour away from there. So we'll crack on now. So we pitched up at Beacon Farm campsite for a tenner each, and upon finding out that the pub next door didn't open until 6 p.m, we decided to fly down an incredibly steep B road to Russup and the beer garden of the Bridge Inn. We drank a few cold beers and tried to find a route back to the campsite that would avoid climbing up the busy B road. But we got to a pub that was open, had 3 pints, and now
I think the dilemma was wait until 6, don't bike anywhere and have a few beers.
yeah, because there's a pub near the campsite.
Go down that massive hill, have a few beers and deal with it.
Yeah, and it was I mean, it was 4 o'clock when we...
There was only going to be one winner, wasn't there? The sooner we get a beer, the better.
The road was crazy, but we found another route on OS maps that is going to take me up this little country lane and then onto a bridle way which leads back to the campsite. So, oh god, I think we're going to ride here, mate, can we?
I think so, like.
That's not a good sign. Fresh cow shit. But according to the map, that should take us up to the campsite, so let's have a look. Yeah, no drinking and riding down here, mind. It is a little bit sketchy for a couple of fat lads with a few beers inside us on bikes that we can't really ride properly. But at least we're not going up that main road. Oh, public bridleway, so we are allowed to cycle here. So it was back to the campsite to enjoy a pouch of freeze-dried disappointment. And Lee hadn't exactly brought the kitchen sink with him, but he did bring some oversized utensils from his kitchen drawer. Found a dead wasp. So I obviously spent the night in the tent with that thing last night. Don't know how it's died, mine, but anyway, yeah, we're going to get packed up, get a coffee on the go, and then sort out the plans for the day. So the decision was made to draw a line under the trip. We were supposed to be out for 2 nights, but there was no way on earth we would make it to the western end of the national park to get the train back. And on top of this, I was a bit knackered, and Lee had some pretty bad sunburn from the previous day. So the plan was to head into Whitby, where Lee would get the train back home, and I'd go back down the cinder track to Scarborough. So I'm heading back along the cinder track now. So Lee and I, we cycled into Whitby, stopped off at Greg's. I got myself 4 sausage rolls for the trip. Lee got himself a breakfast bun and a cup of coffee. And he's going to sit out of the sun somewhere for a couple of hours because his train doesn't leave till midday, and it's only just gone 10 now. And I've got to cycle all the way back along the cinder track to Scarborough, where I'll pick up a train hopefully back to York. Not sure how long it's going to take me. It's only 20 miles, but it's deceiving, this track. There's a lot of gradient in it, and on the way here I had a good 3.5 miles downhill. That's what it felt like down towards Robin Hood's Bay. I'm going to have to climb all the way back up there. So we'll just crack on and see how we get on. So I just passed through Middlewood village, which the app that I'm using took me on a bit of a detour off the cinder track and around Robin Hood's Bay, so it's fairly straightforward on quiet roads because it's fairly hilly in and out of Robin Hood's Bay, so I managed to avoid that. But now I've joined the cinder track again. Pretty much just been rolling downhill from Ravenscar, barely pedalled. It's weird, the cinder track. It would actually make a great like one way out and one way back trip as well from either Scarborough or Whitby, because each way you cycle it's different. You could be riding along a different track, the views are different, you get to enjoy the gradients in a different way. None of it's too hardcore. I mean, it is a train line after all. Well, I'm entering the outskirts of Scarborough, or Scarbados as it's sometimes known. So I think that's the trip done. I should get to the train station in good time with about half an hour to spare. So yeah, all in all, it's been a canny trip. Didn't work out the way we planned. We had big ideas and obviously they fell to pieces, but never mind. Still had a good laugh. So as ever, thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you again on the next one.